Coming to Japan, I had very little previous knowledge about the country, and so almost everything was unexpected. But first things first, food. Onigiri was a staple snack slash breakfast item. Normally, I would have noodles for lunch, and then some rice for dinner, and then more noodles, and then more noodles, and then more noodles. I even learned how to say, to ask for more noodles, as it was written on one of the first menus I got once I was in Japan. But after all those noodles, I started craving some pizza, and so we would go and pick it up on our own because they had some great deals rather than getting it delivered. Another favorites were pizza buns. So beautiful. But I did drink a lot of matcha while I was over there, as well as a lot of French food. I was surprised at how much French influence there is in Japan. So many places sell crepes, and I found a few incredible boulangeries. Even women's style seemed to be inspired by the French. Fluffy pancakes were also a food we had to explore, along with experiencing eating at a sushi go-round, which was really fun, and I enjoyed the self-serve free green tea. I also tried crab on a stick and okonomiyaki on a stick, complete with a fried egg. While I may have eaten a lot of noodles, that amount was minute compared to how much soft-served ice cream I had. Probably had more ice cream in the 4 weeks than I had in my previous 20 years. It's just a lot of ice cream. A lot of it. Big fan. Some other fun food that I had was shaved ice and weird flavored Kit Kats, like this sake. I'm still bummed that I didn't try this restaurant's fowl origami, because it makes you happy. This high-tech toilet was the first photo I took in Japan, and I feel like toilets really sum up the country. Some are extremely futuristic, while others are not so much. Shout out to the squatty potty. Walking around Tokyo, I felt like I had traveled to a whole other planet. We crossed at Shibuya Crossing, which I found to be slightly overwhelming, yet exciting. Here it is in all the chaos. Just walking around the city had so much to look at and take in. At night, everything was even cooler lit up, especially the Tokyo Skytree, which looked like a portal to another planet. There were even roller coasters on buildings. How much more stereotypical Japan can you get? My favorite part about the city had to be the ads. They were just so bizarre, and often I had no clue what they were even advertising for. For one of my free days, I went to the Digital Arts Museum. There were incredible projections on the walls and floors. We were engulfed in the marriage of art and technology. There were rooms filled with flowers and waterfalls, to rooms with lanterns and large, colorful balls. The most breathtaking room was definitely this one, filled with LED light strips that would change colors and look like crystals. Another piece of Japanese technology was the bullet train. It was hard to focus on the outside because of how fast we were moving. At its fastest, we were going about 200 miles per hour. Buses, on the other hand, were much less efficient, especially when Google Maps decided not to work. The Shibuya 109 held so much eye candy, from beautiful shoes to bags to dresses. However, for those not 5 foot and 90 pounds, there was not so much fun, as the store clerks would tell us with a smile on their faces, only one size. So much for promoting a healthy body image. Even the students at the college expressed their concern with how little mental health is discussed. Another unexpected part of Japan was the insane amount of stairs, and Professor Smith's inaccuracy at estimating how long or strenuous a walk would be. However, you never know what funky pilgrimage song would be at the top of the mountain. Japan also had a handful of goofy museum exhibits, like this cat, or the 2 men in picture frames having a conversation at the Tokyo Tower. When I used to imagine Japan, I thought of serene temples and shrines. Instead, so many were huge tourist sites filled with people like us bumbling about, taking photos, and talking loudly. Even though it was more lively and modern than I was expecting, we still encountered a festival filled with people celebrating God and carrying altars. One of my favorite temples was the Meiji Temple, which, as you can see, was definitely touristy. Peep the photobomb. But it was also surrounded by huge trees that muffled sounds and made you feel at peace. I even started to embrace my touristy when I saw the swan boat photobombing people's Tory pictures. And unlike many, I wanted to get the funny swan with a top hat in the background of my picture. However, it did start to get old when we were getting inundated by aggressive Chinese tourists and Japanese middle schoolers, who had no shame eyeing us down. We did get to some temples and shrines that were off the beaten path, so to say. The Zen rock gardens were so cool because they felt therapeutic by just staring at the designs that were made in the rocks. The last temple we went to is definitely the closest to how I imagined temples. Going up into the mountains felt like you were going into Jurassic Park, and as if the forest was untouched by mankind. However, our readings painted a much different picture. Only one forest in Japan has not fallen victim to deforestation. Even the bamboo forests only took a few minutes to walk through. Today, there are much more laws concerning deforestation, but it is strange how strong of an image of lush, untouched forests media depicts. Some of my favorite moments on the trip involved animals. I love seeing the shibis and corgis, especially the shibi that refused to walk down the stairs and made its owner carry him down. Even the birds were funny and cute. They were aggressive little birdies at the mall in Kyoto that got insanely close to us in attempts to get some of our crepes. The deer were also fun to interact with. We were told they were friendly, but I was not prepared for our experiences. They acted like dogs and were getting into backpacks, nudging people, and even eating clothes.
Hey, give that back.
It was definitely one of my favorite days.
You have food all over your mouth.
He's doing it again.
Stop it.
Oh, look at it.
Oh my goodness. I got the licks.
The monkeys, however, were a little different for me. Walking up into the mountain, we thought it was starting to rain, but quickly realized it was a monkey peeing on us. I was pretty pessimistic about them, although the babies were really cute. An aspect of Japan that was very unexpected was how much I would enjoy the English translations, or more so the translation fails. Please enjoy. Fuji was another funny failure. We were so excited to see the mountain and had spent so much money on transportation, only to be stuck in a broom closet on the train.
On our way to Mount Fuji.
Caves, as they marketed them, turned out to be a little hole in the ground that was used to store ice. And so it was filled with literal cubes of ice and had a strange room with a sword stuck in a piece of ice. Right when we got out of the cave, we all started bursting out laughing because of what we had just experienced. The chilly, sensible temperature and the sword art on lime was topped off by the lave cave, which I'm so bummed we did not go to. Everything down to the strange parking lot with the abnormally sized spots were just so perfect. Another happening that was similar to Fuji was the tree a monk hung his robe on that turned out to be a literal stick. Through all the amazing letdowns, we entertained ourselves by watching summer sleep, or more so being watched by summer sleeping. We also had beautiful Titanic moments on the strange pirate ship in Hakone, and a few very touristy moments as well. Uncharacteristically of myself, or may I say unexpectedly, we went to karaoke quite a few times. Mona Lisa. We also took advantage of our thrifted yukatas by storing cheap sake in the sleeves. Some might even say Sake was the instigator of the unexpected carol incident. For me, the 4 weeks were made by the strange yet underwhelming street performers, the interesting Japanese Netflix shows, seeing the man contemplating life in the middle of a field from the Tokyo Tower, and the happy flower charm for exorcism. Thank you to all who made Japan so unexpected.
But no one died, so I'm counting it as a win.